That was not satisfying at all. Anyways, I'm gonna do a story time while I do my makeup. I kind of already started, but I haven't finished. I'm gonna drink my sister's Dr. Pepper. Well, I'm gonna do a get ready with me because I'm gonna go on a date today. My boyfriend asked me out on a date today, and I'm gonna do a story time about how me and him met. It's currently 4 p.m. and I have to be ready like at 6:30, so I can take my time. But I did already start my makeup, but I feel like it literally looks like trash right now, but I'm gonna try to fix it. But anyways, so I started off. Right now I'm blending out this concealer on my face. I'm using it kind of like as bronzer in the Maybelline concealer shade 35. So the way that me and my boyfriend met, well, first of all, let me just say that me and him have been dating for almost 2 years. We're gonna be 2 years this month, like in 2 weeks. So almost 2 years. And the way that we met was at work. That's so basic, like, but it's fine. And it's not like I like go out that much, or like I did at the time 2 years ago. I didn't go out like to the club and stuff, or like where else do people meet their significant other? I don't know. But like a bailes, like I would not go to bailes, you know. But anyways, we met at work. So the funny thing is that we met at work, but we worked for different companies, if that makes sense. Like I worked for one company and he worked for a different company. Okay, so the company that I worked for, I was like, I guess you could say like a supervisor type of vibe, and his company was coming to my site. So like technically I was above him, or like I could tell him what to do. Let's not say. So he had a classroom, and well, the funny thing is that that was originally not his classroom. There was some other guy there that I also met, but then he broke his leg. So then my boyfriend came and subbed for him. So if that guy would have not broken his leg, I would have not met my boyfriend. So that's kind of funny. But anyways, that guy broke his leg, so then the sub came, and that was my boyfriend. That was my man. That was my man. Just kidding. But so then I go into the classroom, like I go to any of the other classrooms just to like check up, see if they're doing their job. Let's not say. And my boyfriend said that he thought that like I was gonna get him in trouble or something, because like he had not seen anybody else go in and monitor him or whatever. Not necessarily monitor him. Well, I guess yeah, because I just said I was going to see if they were doing their job, you know. So technically I guess yeah, I was monitoring him, but like not in a mean way, you know. So I went, whatever, hi, said hi, whatever, and he was only there for, I believe, like a week and a half. He could correct me if I'm wrong, comment down below. He was only there for like a week and a half, so I knew that I wasn't going to see him for a long time. So anyways, obviously when I went in, I thought he was cute. Obviously he's my boyfriend. Let's not say. Why is that like kind of embarrassing to say? Yep, it's embarrassing. I like a man. Sorry, just kidding. But my man is different, guys. I'm just kidding. Ew, that's cringy. Okay, so anyways, kill on men. Okay, anyways, so yeah, so I knew I wasn't gonna see him for a long time, and like obviously that you could find somebody physically attractive, but like I feel like their personality also matters. So obviously not from the get-go I was like, give me your number. No, you know, like I would go in every single day. He was only there for a week and a half, you know, but I would go every single day because I liked his vibe. We would talk and stuff, and he would always have Dutch bros. So I would always ask him like, oh, like what did you order, you know, like, because at the time, guys, not anymore, at the time I was a Starbucks girly. I think now I'm more of a Dutch girly, but at the time I was more of a Starbucks girl. So I was like, oh, like I usually go to Starbucks, like I don't really go to Dutch that much, you know. And then I told him, like, I was like, oh, like you should get matcha from Starbucks. And he was like, oh, like I don't really like matcha. And I was like, oh, but like you should try this drink like customized, because I would add like vanilla syrup to it. And I was like, oh, you should try it customized, like it's really good. Like I was a matcha girly at that time. I'm not anymore. I don't even remember the last time I drank matcha, but I was like a matcha girly at the time. Like, oh, like you should totally try this drink, blah blah blah, whatever. And he was like, oh yeah, like for sure, like I will, you know. And then we talked. I liked his personality, obviously, so like I kind of wanted to like somehow get his number so that I could text him the Starbucks order and like just keep texting him, I guess. I don't know. You could say that I like technically I was the one that shot my shot. Embarrassing? That's even more embarrassing than liking a man. Like shooting your shot first, that's anyways. So what's my next step? This is even getting me mad. I'm just kidding. My next step is putting concealer on because I just put blush and bronzer. Okay. But anyways, I just had mentioned the Starbucks thing, but like I didn't really like go into depth about it. But then I was like, oh, I noticed that you park outside, and I was like, can I get your number so that I could text you like the gate code, so that you could like park inside? So because he had to go like all the way around instead of going to the gate, because I know the gate code. And I was like, oh, like can I get your number so I could send you the gate code? Obviously I could have just told him the gate code and he could have just written it down on his notes or whatever, you know. But like I was like, can I get your number? That's all I'm saying. And he gave me his number. And so that same day I had texted him the gate code. And he was like, oh, thank you, I appreciate it. And I remember when he was getting my number, he was like, he made it to a point that he was like, I never save anybody's number, da da da. Nobody asked, like literally nobody asked if you save people's numbers. Like, girl, what? Anyways, but that obviously came in handy later. But he was like, oh, like yeah, like I never save people's numbers, so like if you text me, like I'm not gonna know it's you, da 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 da. Excuse me, is that like player vibes? That gives player vibes. Like, why do you have so many unsaved numbers that you don't even know who it is? That's all say. Let me argue with him right now. I'm gonna call him right now. Just kidding. Anyways, so then he said, oh, thank you for the gate code. Like this was like obviously after work, like 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. I don't know. And I was like, oh, and do you know who this is? Like, do you have my number saved? Like, you better have my number saved. Something like that. Obviously not that long, but I was like, oh, like you better have my number saved. Something like that. And then he was like, oh yeah, like I do have your number saved, blah blah blah, whatever. And then we just both kept texting each other, like nobody left anybody on red. And then during the conversation I said like, oh, you should go to Starbucks. Like you should go to Starbucks and try my drink. And then I texted him the drink that I get, and I told him like, oh, you should go, you know. And then he did end up going to try it, and he sent me a picture of it. And he sent me a picture of his order that he ordered it. And he said it was nasty. Anyways, that's not saying. That means you don't have good taste buds, okay? Get out of here. Anyways, he said it was nasty, whatever. But then in my head, I was like, oh, like, he actually cares. Or, like, I don't know. In my head, like, I was like, if he's not leaving me on red, and then he also went out of his way to drive to Starbucks, pay for a $5 drink that he ended up not liking. Anyway, like, just because I told him, because I recommended it. Was that, like, bare minimum? Anyways. So, like, in my head, I was like, oh, like he cares, I guess. Like, whether it was friendship-wise or, like, relationship-wise, like, I was like, oh, like, he cares, you know, like, he was nice enough to, like, feed into my delusions of, like, go get this drink, even though you know that you're not gonna like it. So, like, I was like, oh, like, you know. And then it was, like, 2 days, before he was gonna leave, like, and by leave, I mean, like, he was gonna go to a different site for his work, because his work would, like, move from site to site, and he just happened to be at my site that week and a half. And so I would, like, tell him, like, oh, like, is this gonna be, like, the last time that I see you? That's, like, so embarrassing. Like, I'm so embarrassed about that. But he would, like, joke around, like, if he didn't understand what I'm, like, obviously I was saying, like, are you gonna, like, ask me out on a date, or are you gonna text me, or like something? Come on, honey, let's go. It cannot be one-sided. Just kidding. But like, I would be like kind of like implying things. Like, I was like, oh, like, is it gonna be like the last, is like this Friday gonna be the last time I see you? Like, tomorrow's gonna be the last time I see you? And he was like, what do you mean? He was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? And I was like, you know what I mean. Like, I was like, I didn't say don't act dumb, but like I remember being like kind of like irritated. Like, I was like, you know what I mean. Like, you know exactly what I mean. Why would you do this to me if you know how I feel? Why would you say, like, you put me in such an uncomfortable situation? Now send me back to LD. I just messed up that word. Anyways, so I was like kind of irritated. Whatever. So I was like, okay, like obviously like I tried, but he obviously probably doesn't like me back, and he's only talking to me because I'm literally like higher than him, or like I'm just in the classroom, so he's gonna be nice to me. Like, he's not gonna be rude to me, like professional wise or whatever. Like, I was like, okay, whatever. Like, he doesn't like me, that's fine, whatever. And so then the last day rolled around, whatever, and at that point I was like, okay, like it's fine, it's gonna be the last time I see him. Like, I still went to his classroom, like he was still cool, like he was chill, you know, like it's fine. And then towards the end of the day he was leaving, and he was like, oh, I got something for you. And I was like, you got something for me? Just kidding. Why is this kind of embarrassing? Okay, anyways, so he's like, oh, like I have something for you. And I was like, oh, what is it? Just kidding. I was like, oh, like, okay, like what is it? Whatever. And then he gives it to me, and it's a letter. It's just a letter, insert clip. Just kidding. I think I do have a picture of it. I mean, I have the letter. I'll just have to pull it out and take a picture of it because I still have it. But he was like, oh, don't open it until I leave. Excuse me, sir, I'm gonna. And then I ripped it open in front of him. Just kidding, that didn't happen. He was like, oh, don't open it until I leave. And like he said, he was like, because it's not professional or something like that. So I was like, what is this creepy man? Just kidding. Take a shot every time I say just kidding. But anyways, so he was like, don't open it until I leave. And I was like, okay, whatever. And at that point, ever since he gave me his number, he was texting me like every day. Like, even though like the conversation would end, if that makes sense. Like, we talked about the Starbucks drink, then he would come up with a different topic, and he would ask me a different question, or I would ask him a different question. Maybe if I scroll all the way down to our messages, I could look it up. But we would just talk about like, oh, like what's your favorite song, like how many siblings do you have, like kind of like stuff like that, like getting to know each other. Even though in my head I was like, okay, he doesn't get the message of like I'm telling him, is this gonna be the last time I see you? But then it was like confusing to me because I was like, but he's texting me every single day, like even like till like 11 p.m. So I'm like, if he didn't like me, why is he texting me every single day about like getting to know me stuff, if that makes sense? Like, it was very confusing for me at the time. Like, I was like, I don't know. Now that I set my face with this pressing powder, shade 120 in Maybelline, now I'm gonna put some powder bronzer on my face everywhere where I put the liquid concealer at. This is me taking a break from this chisme. Let's not say. I obviously, the second he turned around, the second he left, I opened the letter, obviously. Why would I wait, you know? Opened it, and insert picture is recalling from my memory from like 2 years ago. It said like, hopefully this is not the last time I see you, something like that. And immediately then when I saw the letter and he wrote that, like I was like, oh, like he does like me, or like he is interested in like seeing me again, you know? So I thought that was really cute. Like at the time, like I was like, it's really cute how he had my number. Like I said, we had been texting for like days, so he could have easily just clocked out, went home, and then texted me the same thing that he wrote on the letter. But for some reason, like, I thought it was really cute that he went out of his way, he drove to the store, he picked out a letter, he got a pen, wrote it down, and put it in an envelope and gave it to me. Or is that bare minimum? I don't know, but I thought that was really cute. Like, anyways, I took a picture of the letter and I sent it to him, like with no context, so that he could say something. And then he was like yes, I would like to hang out with you whenever you're available, something like that. And like we kind of like talked about like, oh, when would he be available, could I work that day. So I was like, if you're okay with me going in my work clothes for our first date, then yeah, we could have it that day, you know. But like going in your work clothes though, he said it was okay. So we went on our first date. We went to Korean barbecue, and I remember him burning the meat. But the thing is that if you know me, you know that I like my meat like crunchy, crispy, so it kind of worked out that he burned it. But he claims that he burned it because he was nervous, so that was kind of funny too. But I remember we just kind of got to know each other, I guess, during our first date. And then through his social medias, I had screenshotted his social media because obviously I wasn't going to request first. I screenshotted his social media and I sent it to him and I said, found you. And he said like, OMG, like, yeah, you found me, whatever. And then I said, oh, are you gonna follow me, or like, are you like too famous or something like that? And then he requested to follow me and I accepted him. And at the time he had like a podcast up on his bio, so like obviously I lurked and I watched all the episodes of his podcast. So on our first date, I referenced his podcast, and I thought it was gonna be like a cute little moment because it was like about a spelling bee, and like I told him as if it was my experience, but it was actually his experience, and I wanted him to be like, oh my god, like that happened to me too. And I'm like, oh my god, twins, meant to be. But it was just like made up because I've never been in a spelling bee. And I told him the story exactly how he said it on his podcast and his childhood experience, and he didn't get it. He was like, oh, okay. Like, he didn't have a reaction. And I was like, I just lied. I was like, you said that on your podcast. And he probably thought it was creepy, but I thought it was funny. First date on Friday, and then the next day, Saturday, he asked me to go on a date with him again. And then Sunday we went on a date again. So we went on 3 dates, like back to back, like in a row. And all of that happened in May. Like, we went on our first date in May, and then all of the month of June, obviously, and then all up until July 24th is when he asked me to be his girlfriend. So that is how I met my boyfriend. Story time. But I'm also going to vlog a little bit of like our date that we go on today. We're going to sushi, but I don't know what sushi place yet. I want to go to I Love Sushi. Why you put the window? Why did you put the window down?
Hi, babe.
Hi. I forgot to show you guys my finished hair or my bless you, or my outfit. So I just have black. Obviously, I always wear black. Then my hair. I don't like how my makeup looks today, but
I think it looks cute, babe.
what?
I think it looks cute, babe.